Most people treat the security room in Dead Rising like a home base. You get dragged in there for the first time, Otis welds the door shut, the screaming from the mall finally cuts off, and your brain immediately goes, alright, I'm safe now. And I did the exact same thing. The second I realized I could save there and dump survivors there, it became my little checkpoint. If I could just make it back to the security room, everything would be fine. But the longer you stay in that space, the more it starts to feel wrong. The game keeps using it like a safe room, but the story keeps reminding you that nobody in there actually has this under control. It's not really a bunker, but it's more like a shared lie everybody agrees to believe because the truth is way worse. Think about how you first arrive. You've watched the main entrance of the mall get buried under a wave of zombies. You sprint across the rooftop with almost nothing in your inventory, maybe a 2x4 in your camera. And if you're anything like me, you probably panicked, missed a few kicks, and almost got grabbed on the stairs. Then suddenly, you're in a small cluster of quiet rooms. CCTV monitors are flickering with different parts of the mall. Brad and Jesse are talking like actual adults who might know what they're actually doing. Otis welds the door shut and thinks we're safe now. Mechanically, the game sells it in seconds. This is where you save. This is where survivors go. This is where the case briefing happens. So of course you latch onto it. You crawl through the duct, drop onto the Paradise Plaza rooftop, fight your way through the mall, and you get bullied by the convicts in Leisure Park. And every time things get too messy, your brain goes, I need to go back to the security room. It turns into muscle memory. You grab survivors, yell at them to keep up, guide them to the ladder, suffer through the ducts, hit the door, exhale. The second that loading screen fades and that little office pops back up, your shoulders drop a little. The game helps the feeling along in subtle ways. The security room is one of the only places with no blaring music, no zombie noise, no psychopath screaming at you from off screen, just that low ambient hum and the quiet buzz of the monitors. The lighting is flat but calm. Survivors you've rescued are scattered around the room. One is leaning against a wall, one is sitting on the floor, and a couple are just standing there, trying to process what happened to them. At night, half of them are literally asleep where they stand. Nobody's pounding on the door, and nothing is trying to get in. And then there's his notebook. The second you get someone into the room, the status flips to safe. That one word does a lot more work than it should. Safe, done, checked off. You see it and your brain instantly moves on. You fall through the supermarket, dodge Cletus, drag some poor AI through the park, and once they step through that door, it feels like the game is telling you that the hard part is over. But even the way that you reach the place helps sells that illusion. For most of the game, your only route is that little air duct from the Paradise Plaza rooftop. The mall side security door is welded shut, so it feels like this is hidden. Controlled entrance that only you and your people can use. Everyone else is stuck in the chaos of the mall, and you got this secret tunnel that leads straight to safety. For a while, the security room does exactly what a good hub is supposed to do. It's where you breathe, reorganize your inventory, save, and play your next move. But if you actually pay attention to the story that plays out inside those walls, it stops looking like a sanctuary and starts looking a lot more like a waiting room attached to a disaster. The game starts poking holes in that safe room fantasy almost immediately by making the security room the place where bad news shows up. A lot of the major story beats do not happen out in the mall, they happen right here. You dragged out the Barnaby in, and he's already a wreck. He's not some genius who's about to fix everything. He's exhausted, bitter, and completely out of answers. He's part of the reason that this mess exists, and now he's stuck in the room that's supposed to represent control. Then Isabella gets brought in, bleeding after Carlito shoots her, and Jesse basically turns a corner of the room into a makeshift hospital. You watch her try to hold things together while everything keeps getting worse. Barnaby lashes out, and Jesse gets bitten in that same room, and from the point on, you're walking past her while she keeps pretending she's fine. She's not, and the room knows it. Some of the biggest reveals in Dead Rising happen in here too. The truth about Santa Cabeza, the US government's role in what happened, what Carlito is actually trying to do. All of it gets uncovered in the same place where you save your game and dump survivors. It's almost like the room is supposed to be safe from the outside world, but not from the truth. So yeah, the security room keeps zombies off your back, but it is not really a place where good things happen. It feels more like the family room in a hospital during a disaster. You are technically safe inside it, but every time that door opens, somebody is bringing in worse news. The survivors lining the walls do not look relieved. They look drained, shell shocked, and as you bring more people in, the room starts feeling cramped and heavy, like you're stuffing all of Willamette's trauma into one tiny box, and then walking through it every time you hit the save point. That's where the illusion control really starts to fall apart. On paper, this room looks like authority. It is literally the mall's security center. You have cameras, maps, radios, phone lines. Homeland Security shows up here. Brad has a gun and a badge. Jesse is on the phone with HQ. The first time you step in, it feels like you just found the one place where everyone is actually in charge. For a while, everybody plays alone. They talk like the situation can be contained, like they're tracking suspects, coordinating with the outside, and keeping things under control. From Frank's angle, and from yours, it feels like the command center. This is where the adults are handling it. Then the case files starts tearing that illusion apart. Jesse calls HQ expecting backup and slowly realizes they are not coming to rescue anyone. They are covering it up. Special forces get sent in, not as evac, but as cleanup. Their job is not to save people. It is to erase evidence and close the book. Suddenly, the people in the security room are just as disposable as everyone else in the mall. They just have a few more screens around them. Those monitors on the wall do not give anyone power. They give them a better view of how bad everything is. You're not steering the disaster from the chair, but you're watching it happen in high resolution. And eventually, Dead Rising stops being subtle and just smashes the whole safe room idea outright. That wooded door Otis sealed at the start, which is the symbol of "we shut the zombies out," does not stay that way. When the special forces sweep the mall, they crack that door open because this sanctuary is not on their list of things to protect. It's just another interest on the route. Depending on how your run goes, the security room itself can stop being safe entirely. Special forces can storm inside. Survivors you spent forever escorting can be dragged off or killed. Jesse's final scene plays out in that tiny room, turning what used to feel like your calm hub into one of the bleakest places in the game. By the end, it is not a home base anymore. It is just another piece of Willamette that got swallowed. And even when the story pushes you past the security room towards the real escape, the helicopter on the roof, the game keeps the same energy. You follow the instructions, you be on the roof at this time, you get in the chopper and get out. In more than one ending, you make it all the way there and it still goes wrong. Maybe there's a zombie on board. Maybe the pilot panics. Maybe the bigger forces at work never planned to let you leave cleanly in the first place. That is the same feeling the security room gives you. You trusted the wooded door. You trusted the cameras. You trusted the agents with the badges and the idea that this was the right place to be. And none of this was a guarantee. Not for Barnaby, not for Jesse, and not for half of the people sleeping along those walls. So what I like about the security room is that it leans really hard into the gap between player and comfort and story reality. As a player, you need this room. Dead Rising is stressful as hell. Strict timers, bad escort AI, and there's cycles everywhere. If there were no central place to save and breathe, a lot of people would have been bounced off the game immediately. So the game has to make you feel safe here. It builds that comfort on purpose. That is a good game design. But the story uses the exact same room to say, yeah, about that safety. The wooded door, the monitors, the government agents, they all look like control. And then case by case, the story strips that feeling away. You start out thinking that this is where the grown-ups are in charge. But by the end, it's just another room full of scared people pretending they have more control than they actually do.